And welcome back to the highlight. We're talking quite the shocking qualifying, at least sprint qualifying in Belgium. No, it didn't rain either, but we've got mostly a grid you'd kind of expect and a grid you'd kind of not. Pretty much bookended. And if you're not too sure what I'm talking about, you're definitely going to see after this. First of all, let's congratulate Oscar Piastri on a record-breaking pole, faster than 2020, Lewis Hamilton's W11 all-conquering Mercedes. But these cars at times are going to be faster with their ground effect, with that extra grip going through Eau Rouge flat. It's just basically not even a corner this time. From La Source to the, down the Fennel Straight. Yeah, that's all it is. A straight to these cars. They're so amazing. So this was Piastri before nearly half a second faster than anyone else. Significantly 0.6 faster than Lando Norris. We'll get into potentially why the gap could have been a bit smaller. And, nearly 0.8 faster than the Ferrari. But Verstappen, once again, did do a good job. He maxed it out. Piastri, it was nearly the perfect lap. Not quite the perfect lap, but nearly the perfect lap. So here is the grid, and we'll talk about it. Let's go from the back first, shall we? Because as I said, it was bookended by faster drivers. For example, Kimi Antonelli. What happened there? Well, what happened is, coming into, I think it's Stavelot. Basically, if you've ever raced at Spa in the F1 game, the final corner that is actually a corner before you get to the bus stop, just as you come into sector 3, he put on full bananas on the gas and basically spun, and that kind of ruined George Russell's lap. That definitely ruined his lap, and he never really got another good lap in. Hence, he is last. Bear in mind, what, the last sprint race he's qualified in pole, so he's really doing a 180 there. Is Kimi Antonelli, and this is at the weekend where Toto Wolff has said, and I'm pretty sure Kimi Antonelli and George Russell are going to sleep well. So there you go. So Colapinto 19th. It's Colapinto. Gasly's up there in 8th. I think the P45 people are going to start coming knocking on Colapinto's door if we have a similar result in the race and Hungary. But time will tell. Fingers crossed he can sort it out. Lewis Hamilton 18th. Shocker. An absolute shocker. He didn't get his first lap right. He kind of, where Kimi Antonelli had spun, he kind of lost it a bit. Whether he got distracted or not, I don't know. And also, in practice, he was complaining about the rear end being unstable, which we absolutely saw why that rear end is unstable. We'll show you why in a bit, but he lost it into the bus stop and then was out in Q1. Shocker. Hulkenberg, shocker, podium, and then 17th. 16th, Alexander Albon, another shocker. Bear in mind, Carlos Sainz is 6th. It's just, what on earth? Again, Alonso 14th, Stroll 15th. That's pretty much probably where the Aston Martin is. There have been a few upgrades. George Russell just not fast enough in 13th. And it looked this weekend like Kimi Antonelli may have had the edge at times. So Tsunoda 12th, out-qualified by both RBs, both Racing Bulls, which is slightly embarrassing, but there we go. 11th for Lawson, not too bad, but 9th for Hadjar. Once again, Hadjar overshadowing Liam Lawson. Bortoletto, well done to him in 10th. Brilliant. Gasly, really good in 8th. Both the Haas drivers, though, before we get to Sainz, 5th and 6th. Absolutely amazing. I mean, what more do you want? It's going to be interesting to see if they can keep that in the sprint, because I do think Gasly's probably faster. Hadjar, Lawson, potentially. I do think Sainz is faster than Ocon, but it's going to be, that start's going to be interesting. And speaking about the start, we've got Norris on the second row in 3rd, Leclerc on that second row in 4th. Norris really slow. Now, why is Norris in 3rd? Because I believe when you watched Q3, the final, that final qualifying session, Max Verstappen was right behind him, and I'm pretty much convinced, as were the commentators, that Lando Norris very much did not want to give Verstappen even a hint of a slipstream. So absolutely put pedal to the metal, and I think burnt his tyres, sadly. And I don't think his tyres weren't as good as condition as Piastri, although I think even if that happened, Piastri still would have got pole. He was very much the man in practice and the man in qualifying. Having said that, let's be fair, in Q2, Piastri nearly went out. It was very, very close. All it needed was another person to improve just a tiny bit, and Lando Norris put in the lap one of the laps of his life, I think, and I think that was really underestimated, even by the commentators, on what essentially is old tyres by this point to end up going P1, which was brilliant, which I think could bode well for the race. Now, if we look at the past, it was always Norris that was better on tyres than Piastri, but Piastri has learnt. So, you know, I think it potentially bodes well for the race, but we'll see. And Verstappen, obviously, in second, taking it to the max, pun intended. But that Red Bull they've gone essentially for that Silverstone setup, which worked for Max so well in qualifying, not necessarily the race because of the rain, but really fast in a straight line. He's losing 8/10, sometimes nearly a second, at least to Piastri in that middle sector, which is absolutely insane. And also, less downforce means more sliding, means the tyres are going to go, but it is a sprint race. I think 15 laps. If Verstappen gets in the lead, and many people think he will, it all depends on where he is coming out of La Source. It is one of the shortest runs from the start to the first corner, but as we know, there's been many a crash at La Source, and I don't know why the sprint race is going to be any different. So this is Lewis Hamilton on board, and you will just see him spin out of nowhere. I mean, he's poor guy. I don't know what more he could do. I don't think it's his fault. So, I mean, look, it just swaps. He's not turning the wheel at all. Go, and he'll press the brake, and the minute he presses the brake, it swaps. The wheel is straight. Look, he's even got the wheel that turns. Yeah, he's even got the wheel straight. It's a bit there, and then now he's braking, and you can hear it. And it's just he's trying to turn in. There's something wrong with that rear end. It's very unlike Hamilton to make a mistake like that, and even himself. I've got no reason not to believe him, but this was him, I believe, in the afterwards in the pen. Let's have a listen to what he says. I think he just says he spun though. But
what happened?
I spun.
Say again, sorry.
I spun.
Yeah. Was it a rear lock or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
First time, I think, in my career.
Yeah, disappointed. But overall, I mean, how do you assess how the car has been today?
Yep.
Not great. Not great. There's not really a lot to say. So.
Any more drivable with this suspension upgrade? Any sense of that? And what about tomorrow, though?
He's not looking happy, is he? He's shaking his head going, it's not drivable. It could be, though, that they just need. I mean, introducing it to a sprint race, I think is always silly, because you've got that 1 hour practice session to both get your qualifying right and to get your race set up right. Yes, you can change it after the sprint race, but you don't have a session to test that. In Hungary, you're going to have 3 practice sessions. I don't understand why teams do this. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I know they're potentially a bit desperate. At least he could learn something in the sprint qualifying. I guess we'll see. But what does he have to say about the race?
Tomorrow's a new day, so we'll try to. Obviously, I'm massively frustrated. So. A lot of work's gone in, and to be there is not really great. So, hopefully tomorrow will be better.
Better luck tomorrow.
Awkward. An awkward interview. Now, interestingly, Fred Vasseur came out and said on Hamilton's elimination in SQ2, regarding the first mistake, he thinks he was distracted by Sonoda because you can clearly see a big cloud of dust. As for the second, I believe he was a bit too aggressive on the brakes. Was he right, or was it just that rear end being extremely unstable? Who knows? I mean, assuming that's captured during the interview, he's not a happy bunny, is he? So, fastest sector times. Well, Sector 1 and Sector 3, mostly about speed, especially Sector 1. You got the one corner La Source, then even over Rouge, it's pretty much a straight, isn't it? So, you've got Ocon on a 29.7. Albon, obviously, the slowest, but then you've got, Norris is a good 0.3 off. Piastri is, a couple of tenths off. And so that's quite interesting. But it's both the McLarens on a 42.7 and a 43 flat in Sector 2 that are fastest. Verstappen, to be fair to him, bearing in mind he has that very low downforce, the fact that he's the third fastest in that middle sector is really, really good. And shows how good he is and how planted, actually, that Red Bull still is. In spite of everyone saying it's a track, it very much isn't. Quite often it is the second fastest. It has been fairly often, all the time, the second fastest car, at least. On some race days. So Sector 3, you've got Piastri, again, all about speed, which kind of suggests, and I'll show you something in a bit, It's kind of suggests that Piastri has less downforce than Lando Norris, I believe. And then once again, Verstappen, you'd expect Verstappen to be fast in Sector 3 as well. So moving on, this is, the fastest in sprint qualifying. That's the fastest sector times in practice, but we don't need to look at that. But this is what I wanted to show you. Sprint qualifying, top speed. The reason why I think, you can probably see, the reason why I think Piastri has less downforce than Lando is because Lando's right at the bottom on 337, Piastri's on 340. That could be because Piastri got a slipstream, which I don't think he did. I generally think, though, Lando, either he made a mistake coming out of Vasseur average, but even 3 miles per hour, to get to that top speed, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got more downforce than Piastri. I could be wrong. That could, I mean, if the sprint qualifying is wet, I don't think it's going to be. That could bode well for someone like Lando Norris, but we will see. 346 Tsunoda is the fastest. I mean, you're looking at 9 miles per hour difference between him and Tsunoda. Between Norris and Tsunoda, which is absolutely insane. So massive congratulations though to Oscar Piastri for getting that pole position. We will speak to you, it'll be probably quite late tomorrow because it's my daughter's birthday. But we'll be speaking to you with a sprint and quali review. Thank you very much. If you made it to the end, that's more than enough for us here. But if you want to do that a bit more, hit that subscribe button, that'll make us smile. And then if you're already subscribed, just hit the like button. Thank you very much. And we'll speak to you soon.